Hey everybody, welcome back. So I'm not gonna go back to reading right off the bat for episodes, at least not, consistently like we were doing. However, I came across something that I haven't been able to track down the exact source of this. I guess you call it a parable. It's not like a full short story or anything, but I can't find who created it originally. But it's about the eagle and the crow. I want to read it to you because it ties into what we're talking about today. The only bird that dares to peck an eagle is the crow. The crow sits on the eagle's back and bites its neck. The eagle does not respond or fight with the crow. It does not spend time or energy on the crow. Instead, it opens its wings and rises higher in the heavens. The higher the flight, the harder it is for the crow to breathe, and eventually the crow falls off due to a lack of oxygen. Learn from the eagle and don't fight the crows. Keep ascending. They might be along for the ride, but they'll soon fall off. Do not allow yourself to succumb to the distractions. Keep your focus on the things above and continue rising. So, what I want to talk about today is silence. And this is something in our social media rich world that we're not very good at. We always have something to say, we always have to respond, we always have to address whatever the issue is, and we have to do it right away. We can't let any time go by at all. While that's a popular style to respond, that's not always the best way to respond. We've talked a lot about power and strategy and communication. There's times where being silent is the way to go. Now, this goes against some of our sensibilities because we preach so hard for, well, if there's something wrong, you got to say something. Yes, but silence is power. Silence irritates people, especially people who they want your attention, they want your reaction, they want to get under your skin. When you are silent, it irritates them. And maybe they were trying to be on the sly, they were trying to be passive aggressive and try to get a response from you, and you don't give it to them. Well, then they're going to try harder and they're going to push more. And there is a time to snap back because, yes, we have this analogy of the eagle, but we also have the analogy of the lion and the jackals. And I'm pretty sure most of us have heard that narration by Christopher Walken talking about the lion who, he's getting bit by his cubs. The lioness is growling at him, and he's just completely unfazed. But then the jackals come, and the jackals start approaching, and there's a threshold where that lion shows those jackals that he's the lion. Silence is not always the end game, but silence can build anticipation. Now, this applies to two different areas. I want to tackle those separately. The first area of your life where this applies is when you're improving yourself. When you're improving yourself, we love to broadcast to everybody every little detail of what we're doing, what we're eating, how we're working out, and this and that. And it's not saying you shouldn't say anything, but we kind of get in this, oh, well, I'm going to tell everybody so that way I have some accountability. Newsflash, that doesn't work. In fact, most people, when they see someone who's being loud about their personal progress on day one, they're like, yeah, no, this isn't going to last. But the people that hold out and that you actually see the changes and then they start talking about it, that's a whole different animal because you actually respect them because they have put in the work and the work is showing. And now the words make more sense. The words are more congruent with their actions. We want to parade around our goals for everybody. And I'm just as guilty of this as the next person. Like I get excited about things. I get excited about the changes I'm making in life, the goals I have, the things I'm working towards, and I want to tell every fucking buddy. But I've had to learn that you have to be careful with that and rein that in. It is better to understate and over deliver than to overstate and under deliver. Instead of trying to get accountability from everybody, work quietly. Let the results speak for themselves. And I promise you, too, that silence runs off a lot of distractions. If you are laser focused on some kind of self-improvement or a business project or whatnot, and you are laser focused on that, and you are just not giving any credence or attention to external distractions, they're eventually going to fall off because those distractions can't keep up with you. The people that don't have the kind of focus you do will not stick around. They will not hang on for the ride. Once you achieve your goals, they may be like, "Oh, I knew you could do it. I had your back." Yeah, no, but the phone stopped ringing a long time ago. So when you really want to make some changes in your life, when you really want to go after some shit, sometimes silence is the best way to do it. It's a different story if, say, you have a partner, either a work partner or a life partner that you want to commit to doing something with, whether it's a challenge like the 75 Hard challenge that Michelle and I did, or just something along those lines, some kind of fitness or wellness challenge, or some business project you're working together. Obviously, share that with each other, communicate with each other, make that a mission, a project that you're working on together. That's awesome. But that person has a certain amount of investment in what you're doing. Don't give away to people that are not investing in you, that are not investing in what you're doing. Don't do it. Don't do it. And don't, you only have so much emotional capital to give away any given day. Pick and choose who you give it to. Pick and choose who gets that attention from you. It's better to have people coming after you to get your attention, to get your opinion, to get your advice, than it is to be constantly giving it and nobody's really giving a shit. Nobody pays attention. Nobody cares. Now, the second area where silence can be a very useful strategy is when you're dealing with conflict. Now, this is a very nuanced conversation we could probably spend at least another 2 hours talking about, but we'll boil it down a little bit. Sometimes you have to be silent to regroup. You're dealing with conflict at work with a higher level supervisor, whatever. There's times where your greatest asset is to simply be silent. Be silent, do your job, focus on your job. Let them get more irritated, because if you're living rent free in their head, your silence is going to irritate them. It truly is. It is going to irritate them. Because also bear in mind that direct confrontation is less effective than guerrilla warfare most of the time. If you are always the hammer that's beating every single nail that pops up, and you're making every single thing a point of conflict all the time, you're going to lose respect from people, because you're not demonstrating any kind of emotional regulation. You're not demonstrating accountability for your behavior. You are just literally going after every single thing that comes at you or that you think is an attack. Because that's the other thing. We will get so caught up in our feels that we will think someone's attacking us when they're really not. Being silent, being able to not respond right away, not only does it give you a leg up and a little bit of power in a situation, but it also allows you to kind of sift through, okay, what's really happening here? Am I having just an emotional response to this, or is there actually a problem here that I need to deal with? And the same is true when you're dealing with negotiations. When you're negotiating with somebody, whether it's a, hostage negotiation or a business negotiation or whatnot, the general rule is whoever speaks first loses. When you have put your cards out on the table and wait, whoever speaks next, quote, loses. They're ceding to the other person. So being able to be silent, being able to control your tongue, to control your emotions, to keep an emotional upper hand in a situation, even if you aren't the more powerful person in the room. If you're dealing with an abusive supervisor, let's say, and I'm not saying abusive in a strictly physical sense, just, psychologically, verbally, however you interpret it to your situation. Well, if you go toe to toe with that person, HR is going to be involved pretty quickly, and you're probably going to lose, because HR, what do? They protect the company. But if instead you wait, you let that person cross the line, that's when you strike. Because ultimately, none of us want to get fired over bullshit, right? Stop picking bullshit battles. When you have to pick a battle, make sure it's a battle that you're actually going to play through to win. Because life's not fair. Life's not just going to hand you wins just because you're a good person. You have to be smart. You have to be strategic. You have to take steps on your own to achieve what it is that you want out of life. Plain and simple. It's not complicated. So be smart about it. Silence is a wonderful strategy. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. The more pissed off you are at somebody, the more irritated you are about how they treat you, how they treat your friends, or whatever the case may be. Silence is your best friend. Because you're not going to get in trouble for being silent. They're going to know that something's up, but they can't write you up for being silent. Obviously, be a professional, do your job. But outside of that, as far as personal interactions, silence is your best friend. If, obviously, the caveat with this is if there's somebody who is being unreasonable, if there's someone who is being amicable, who genuinely says, hey, I didn't mean to offend you, I'm sorry, or I overstepped, I'm sorry, I want to make this right. Cool. Guess what? They're taking the first step. They're speaking first, so they are ceding to you. Cool, that's fine. Go with that. Don't be a dick. Well, don't be an unreasonable dick. There we go. That's probably the slightly better term right there. Don't be an unreasonable dick. Sometimes you have to be a dick. Sometimes you have to pull your balls out and say, hey, this is not okay. Fucking deal with it. But it's important to be strategic and to not burn bridges that you don't have to. Some bridges need to be burned, and that's okay. But make sure that you're picking those well. Make sure it's a bridge you don't need to go back over again later. Make sure that burning that bridge is the right thing to do. And if it is, burn it to the ground. I'm speaking figuratively. I'm not advocating for violence, people. That's all I got for you guys. If you learned something, good. Share it with your friends. If you were offended, life sucks. Put a helmet on. I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.